Right, we're back for episode 92. We're creeping ever
All right.
closer up to 100.
We'll get
We're
there.
gonna get there. Yes, it's so close. That means it's 8 more episodes. That's 4 more months. Well, that's like January.
Okay. We should do a couple. Maybe we speed up the
Oh yeah.
speed up the release so we get to 100 before the end of the year.
Oh, so we'll do a special like Thanksgiving issue, and then maybe a special
Sure.
Christmas holiday issue, and then maybe a special New Year's one.
Well, then that should be the 100th
Yeah.
one. Should be the New Year's
Okay.
one. Yeah.
We'll try.
We'll figure
We'll
it out.
pretend. We'll pretend.
Or we just do episode, what would it be, like
Yeah.
96 or something,
Yeah.
or 97 on New Year's, and pretend it's episode 100.
Yeah. I think with one of our other podcasts at 100, it might have been Intrepid Heroes. I think 100 hit really close to the New Year's, and we were able to do that.
Mhm.
So what's new? What's new with you, Jason?
Hey, no, I mean, not a ton, but like I'm very excited to have we recorded some stuff at work just this past week, and it was the Foundry modules for Pathfinder and Starfinder Society that were announced
Yeah.
last week, I think, or when we were recording this last week. How they were saying we're recording some actual plays, and I recorded those because I ran both of them,
Nice.
and it was we recorded for like 4 or 5 hours on two separate days to get through to get through a Pathfinder 1 and a Starfinder 1. It was a lot of fun, and we did I think it's been said which ones we're doing, but we did the first of the new Pathfinder season, Unfettered Exploration, and then we did the one where you meet the new first seeker candidates for
Oh,
Starfinder.
nice. Very nice.
I had a lot of fun portraying those characters, and as I said in the recording, for those of you who those characters are, for those 4 people who created those characters, I apologize if I portrayed them in any unusual way. I gave one of them a Southern accent, for instance, and it was just I couldn't help it.
Nice. And so
Yeah.
you recorded from home, or did they bring it into?
Yeah. No, I recorded here. We recorded all virtual through Zoom, and obviously everyone you'll see a lot of good Foundry maps and tokens and stuff like that when the final thing has been sort of edited and put up. So
What?
those will be. I don't know when they're going to come out exactly, but they're being edited. Yeah.
Well, I hope Paizo appreciates the awesome sound you're getting out of this mic then.
Yeah. Oh my God. It was the funniest thing. It is great. Like we were doing a little sound test sort of beforehand, like right before we were going to record, just to get like a marker. Everyone was to clap, and I was the first to do it, and I did a clap, but they couldn't hear it. And I was like, "Whoa, this microphone's really good. I'm clapping right in the microphone. This must be some sort of like super good podcasting mic." But it turns out we all had our Zoom noise filtering way up high.
Yeah.
And for that, like Zoom was just filtering out that clap, even though it was like right at the microphone.
Right.
For everybody, and it was pretty. I was like, I would turn it off and then turn it back on again.
That's funny.
So it was pretty funny. How are you doing?
Well, this past week was my first week back at school, so
so
I had to go back in the classroom, and usually the first week is pretty good, kind of get to know you and lay out expectations, and you start kind of rolling into things. The only downside is I have going to work 5 days a week now, at least for a couple weeks. Then
you poor man.
I know. Then I'm going to start taking Fridays off again, so I'm going to give them Fridays.
Okay, fair enough.
But I can't complain too much because I leave the house at 10 and I teach a class 1 or 2 hours and then I come home. So I avoid traffic both ways. Good. And but the thing is, it's such a short time. It's like, oh man, it'd be so much easier just to teach from home. Because it's like I'm spending as much time driving as I am teaching. So and everything, but it's kind of nice to get back to the students, see them in person. I got a good group of students. It's always great. It's always kind of
yeah.
The other interesting thing that happened since last time is we both got Starfield.
Yeah,
and I want to hear your thoughts on that so far. How's it going?
Yeah, I've been playing it. I'm up to level 25 now. I can play it every little chance I get, and I'm enjoying it. Look, and my whole thing is like it is a Bethesda RPG. There's a certain sort of expectations going into that I had that have been pretty much met. Like I played Skyrim and I played both Fallout 3 and Fallout 4,
Mhm.
and I know how they go, right? I mean, you kind of you find a person, you get a quest, you talk to them, but you go to a place, you talk to someone else, you go to another place, you talk to someone else, and sometimes there's fighting in between. Um, and so I think it's really does that pretty well. There's a lot of good story stuff. I recently kind of entered the Shadowrun part
Oh,
of the game in
nice.
a lot of
Yeah, yeah.
ways. It's a lot of sneaking and,
Yeah.
and computer hacking. But I don't have any points in stealth, so I don't know why. I basically joined the Thieves Guild it's like a company,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, you're our newest operative, and we need you to plant this data on this other company to make sure the business deals go all wrong, or talk to people." And I'm like, I made a scientist character, right? I was like, I'll put up stuff in scanning and botany and zoology and stuff like that. But I end up trying to persuade people. I end up trying to sneaking around, and I found a really good shotgun. And so I started putting points in shotgun. So I'm now a shotgun scientist, and and it works out pretty well. There's a mission, and I won't spoil it, but there's definitely a mission that you should go on as early as you can because you get a really good ship and a really good shotgun, and some good armor too. And I've been using that since then.
Nice.
What
How's your computer handling it?
I'm playing it actually through my
Oh,
Xbox,
that's right. That's right. You get
even though I really should have put it on my new computer because there's some text, right? There's some parts where you
yeah.
have to like look at numbers and stuff, and I sometimes I get up and I stand a little closer to the television so I can read it a little better. So I really should have put it on the computer, but I don't know, I just didn't.
Well, I got it and I put it on my laptop, which is a couple years old,
Mhm.
and I realized that it is really the graphics card seems to work fine, but the
Mhm.
CPU, the PC version
Oh,
is I'm running it like 90 degrees, like even on minimum
yeah.
settings. So
Wow.
I need to tweak it some more. Unfortunately, I haven't had much
Yeah.
time with school starting and everything
Mhm.
else to play much.
Sure, sure.
Um, but just to
Yeah.
know that I can tweak it so it'll run fine. I just worry about wrecking my laptop running too hot.
Right, you only
Yeah,
wanna play it for, like, 15 minutes at a
yeah,
time and then let your laptop cool off and then come back to it.
yeah. And there's some things I can do with it. The laptop isn't designed. It's a gaming laptop, but it's really more of a.
Mhm.
I use it more for editing and stuff like that. And so
Sure.
it
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
it has a 2-year-old video card and CPU and everything on it. So
Mhm.
it's a couple
Yeah.
generations old. But I'm liking it. Now I can see the benefit of using the Xbox in terms of controls, though, because
Yeah?
yeah, you have to use your WASD controls and a couple
Right.
other things that I guess you would do buttons on. I don't do much Xbox.
It's always tricky to play a game like a game that is a shooter game. It has
Right,
shooting in it, like this game does in a lot of first person shooters with a controller because it's I my aim is always off. But like when I'm playing with a mouse and keyboard, like you can aim spot on
right.
and get people. But I'm like aim and shoot, and I know you're like two centimeters over here before I shoot the second time and actually take them out. But so yeah, but it's fine. I've gotten past the point where it feels like I've gotten past that first level in an RPG point where you feel like I'm dying all the time, I'm spending all this healing just to like stay alive to get through. Oh my god, I've run out of ammo. I've gotten to the point where I've got plenty of money for stuff
Mhm, mhm.
and that kind of stuff. And for some reason these kind of shadow running missions are been pretty quick and pretty easy, and I get like 3 med packs and 10,000 credits every time I do one.
Nice.
It's like, yeah, 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 give me that. This is gonna help me when I do all this other, stuff. Um, so have you played through the beginning of the
Yeah,
game?
pretty much. Well, I don't know how far
Yeah.
the beginning is. I've gone through a couple different missions and gone through the beginning. Yeah,
Right, right, right. Yeah. When I was playing the beginning, I was thinking a lot about uh, how how it could be like related to Starfinder and why it was sort of like you're a miner and you find an
right.
object in a thing, and then that sort of sets off the whole plot. And I'm like, well, why haven't we ever done anything like that? Why didn't I ever do that in Starfinder AP? It's just finding a thing. And then it occurred to me that that's sort of how Dead Suns begins. except that you're not a part of that, right?
Oh,
Dead Suns is about a mining company who finds an asteroid that has a chunk of an old spaceship in it,
right.
right? And then they bring it back, but the PCs don't come in later. But I thought that was because the group you join, that's sort of the main quest, is very Starfinder Society,
Right. Right.
except small,
Right.
right? It's called Constellation. They have a lodge, and they're just like a bunch of disparate people who have come together for this mission to. Without giving too much away, there's a bunch of like space artifacts that you're finding, and you get them and you can get a quest to find them, and there's different ways. Oh, this person has it in their collection, or this way you got to go dig it up or whatever. But like, yeah, that feels so much so Starfinder Society that like in a lot of ways this is a very kind of, besides the lack of big magic, this is a kind of a got a Starfinder vibe to it some places, and
Yeah.
that I'm digging.
Yeah, I would agree on that. It's kind of I like heavy science, so I like the
Yeah.
expanse and stuff like that, and it really gives me kind of those kind of feels, and even like the armor and the
Hmm.
weapons, it all seems real
Yeah.
similar to that. Even actually, looking at the spaceship piloting and stuff, kind of how it looks on
Hmm.
screen when you're
Hmm.
doing it
Hmm.
compared to,
Right.
you know,
Lots of gauges and
yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
I'd like that. I think that's really cool. And one of the things I really enjoy about it, and I haven't gotten into it as much as you have, and is the fact that your ship and upgrading your ship just seems to be such a bigger part of what you're doing compared to like in Starfinder, where I always felt like that whole system was just kind of an add-on. And when you
Yeah.
update your ship, it's just like, oh yeah, you level up and it levels up. There's no real additional action needed by the players in order to get that done.
Hmm. Right. It's funny because you say it's like a very big part, but once I have found this, um, did this mission, I haven't really I've had a good ship and it's been pretty
Yeah.
good, and I haven't really needed to do anything. At one point, I bought like a electromagnetic weapon because they were like, maybe you want to take this, when you go out to fight this person, maybe you want to like mess up their shields and just sort of board them. And I was like, oh, let me do that. And then I got wrecked in the fight. So I was like, let me come back to this one. Maybe I'll put it in. But I did like there was there's I played with it a little bit,
Mhm.
right? When I was trying to like figure out, there was a mission where they were like, oh, take these random contracts. And one of them was like carrying passengers from one place to
Right.
another. And I didn't have any passenger bays on the current ship I had. So I was like, how do I have to buy that module and fit it on the ship in such a way that it is aerodynamic enough, or not necessarily aerodynamic, but just sort of doesn't unbalance everything.
Right.
And you can only put it on certain places. And I thought that was kind of neat. It was a little frustrating because I couldn't figure out how to do it with the ship that I had. So what I did was just buy a whole other ship that had passenger capacity, did that mission, and then resold it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I'm trading ships left and right, and it's that's a cool thing too. You can have essentially like a fleet of different ships for different
Right.
things
Right.
if you really want to, and just sort of switch out which one is your home ship.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, no, I like that aspect of it. And actually, kind of the resource collection being a part of it. I mean, it's a combination of, you have your own character development, and then you have all the things
Mhm.
that you can do with your armor and your weapons
Yeah,
and other equipment and chips
yeah.
that kind of add out to and flesh out the story as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like that sort of fly free or die cargo system slash build points kind of
Yeah.
helps that feeling a little bit more, where you can get a little something at a time instead of just like you level up and you can basically maybe trade out your entire ship, but it's just like, oh, you spend the build points to get you trade some cargo, you get a bunch of build points as treasure or whatever, and then you spend that on like that one. Oh, we got to upgrade that engine just a little bit more.
Hmm.
So I think that's, if you wanted to like get that feel in Starfinder, you could definitely use that system to sort of like approximate it, and it gets a lot of things. Like you talk about resource collection, but this is more about like getting the right jobs. But it could be about like, you could make, the GM could make the adventure about like, you go to this planet, you spend some time hunting for some resources, and then you can go sell them for build points or whatever. Or even you could even tweak it to be like, oh, now you have a thing that you can turn into build points. Just you like crafting works in Starfinder, just by taking some time.
Hmm. Well, and that's I think that brings up one of the issues with Starfinder in build points and credits, right? So
Yeah.
you can't really convert them back and forth,
right,
because the starships and their build points are worth so much that if
right.
you
I mean,
captured an enemy starship and sold it, then it would completely unbalance the economy for the players, because you just have so much
yeah.
money.
There could, like, that was sort of the way that we did it. So because that was kind of the easiest way
Yeah.
to do it. You could not have that, because just sort of thinking about, like, well, if a light bulb costs 1 credit in Starfinder, that's sort of like the base, or maybe even like 5 credits. Like, how much does a shuttlecraft cost? How much does an
Right.
entire spaceship cost compared to? And if you wanted that to be realistic, like, then it would go wonky. Like
Right.
in Starfield, it's credits that you can do both, right? But like you'd only need to spend like maybe like 29,000 credits to buy a new spaceship, but not a great one, but just one you can buy, and then but like a shotgun might be like 1,000 credits, which is a little, doesn't quite like
Right.
fully work great, but like, it's close enough. It's a video game,
Right.
so
And because it's a single player, it's not, you don't
yeah,
have an economy where you're trading with other players and other things
yeah,
like that. So it's not going to get super unbalanced. Yeah, I was just actually thinking about, vehicles in Starfinder. You can buy a vehicle for 10,000 for four. You can buy a hover bike, for like 2,000
hmm
credits. Well, and that's like immensely useful for doing all kinds of things. And then at the same time, you could buy armor when you're level 10, and that's going to cost you like maybe 70,000 credits.
right,
It's
yeah.
just,
Right. Well, that hover bike is, a level 2
yeah.
thing, so you're not, you could use it when you're level 10, but it's gonna, like, if you go up against another level 10 vehicle, it's just gonna get blown up real super
Right,
fast.
right, right.
So there's that system sort of does help balance, but it is a little weird to be like, I have a motorcycle and then I have a really nice suit of armor, and that costs
Yeah,
10 times as much
right,
as my motorcycle.
right.
Oh, how I wish I could have a motorcycle in Starfield. A hovercraft.
Yeah,
There's a It's the one thing, there's no ground vehicles in the game at all,
yet.
and that's unfortunate. Well, I mean, you could, but you've got to
You
see.
could
Here's
mod
the
it.
thing. It's like, yeah, yeah. I have it on my console. There's
Oh,
not a
yeah,
whole lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
modding that's going to happen, right? But you have yours, and you can always get some mods that put vehicles and stuff. It'd be nice. It's a nice to have, but it's not a. But
Yeah, you're not having to
yeah.
go
But they
so
just didn't do it.
far where
It's
it's
weird.
gonna matter that much. Oh, and
Yeah, it's just slightly annoying. You can do a lot of fast travel, but
yeah.
it's like when like, oh, I just have to go over here, 900 meters in this direction to find the point that I'm going to at where my spaceship has landed.
Mm,
It'd be nice to sort of like tootle around, because it'd be nice to tootle around, because when you're doing like scans, because sometimes
right.
I did once just scan an entire planet just so I could get that percentage up to 100%, right? Yeah, you got to find all the resources that are there and all the weird things, and then like you find a planet, you got to scan X number of them to get the full schema of it, and so you got to find them and walk around. I was just, I think I spent like 1 hour on a weekend just scanning an entire planet. Um, because, well, I was getting paid for it, so it was worth it. It was worth it. And then you can zap the stuff and get the resources out of it and use that to build stuff. And it's pretty interesting. I just haven't really gotten into all that, the crafting and
Right.
the spaceship building and the base building, the outpost building. There's something, another thing that you can
Oh,
do.
that I think that's gonna
Uh,
be
which is the whole thing. Yeah, which will be fun when I get into it. But you want. I mean, that's another way to get more resources and to build more things. But you got to find a good planet to put it on. And I just haven't done it yet because I've been just doing the story missions
right.
and doing some of the side missions. And when I find something that seems fun, I'll just sort of follow the trail as it goes. Like, oh, this botanist is having a trouble with this tree. Let me just do this, every little bit of this quest, and get a fun story. And yeah, there's some like joining the factions, like Skyrim, like
Mhm.
Fallout. You can just go and join the factions. Not necessarily if you're good at what they do, military, you're a good shooter, or you're a sneaker, because they'll give you the missions that are fun. And then there's definitely like a full like alien-esque creature, like it's the death claws of Starfield.
Mhm.
That I'm and oh no, there's more of them. Like, oh no, it's really tough. And then, the first one you find, you've got to do this, like the way you manage to take it down is very exciting. You're turning on like defense systems in this base. So I had a lot of fun with that. And I was like, oh yeah, let me follow this story a little bit longer until I maybe it out levels me or something, and then I have to go back and do it some other
Yeah,
factions.
that's kind of neat. A virtual open world like that. That's a lot different than like an adventure path, right? You can't really have a open world adventure. I guess you could if it were AI generated and constantly updated based on what you did, but
I mean, yeah, a little bit. You could, I mean, like the one thing, if you wanted it to be like completely open, right? The way that we have, Horizons of the Vast being sort of open world, sort of but it is sort of segmented into chapters because we have the way that was published was by volumes, right? But if you were to take a big book, and if we were to smush that all in one book, you could do it a little more open flow, like so that like, oh, here's the entirety. Over here is levels 1 to 3, but over here is levels 3 to 5. But you list all of it out at once, and then if they happen to stumble over here, and they'll know as soon as they have a fight. It's sort of I think they sort of did that with Kingmaker too when they put that in a big book. It was like, but here's the plot, the story to get to there. But if it's open, it's open. But you could do a full situation where like, here's a place. Or like here's a galaxy or whatever, and this planet is 4 level. It's got level 10 encounters on it, or maybe parts of it are level 2, and some of it is level 10. Like you could do all that, and then it would be very much open world. But I find it's nice to have like an idea of what you want to do next, right? And that would be hard to sort of say, and it would be hard to have a full plot in that. And it'd be just like if you wanted to publish a thing that had a bunch of little stories in it, yes, right, it just necessarily might not have an overarching plot because the players might not want to do it, and then you've printed all this overarching plot that doesn't matter,
right? Well, I mean, you could do an open world, like you were talking about levels. You could have an open world and design it such that wherever the players went, you had scaling based on the level the players were.
Yeah, but it's tricky to have those stat blocks, right? Because every stat block has to be it's bespoke, then a bespoke thing, and then you have to be like, well, if you want this to be a level 5 counter, is that you just say have 2 level 5 guys, or do you want to say like, oh, it's 3 level 4s? You know what I mean?
So a lot more stat blocks that you'd have to add on and do things.
Yeah,
and change.
which would be
an I'm just thinking like a homebrew. Like if you're doing a homebrew, you're just kind of like winging it, right? You're saying, okay, they're going to go over here. Well, let's see. I'll pull these guys. I'll do this. I'll do this.
Right. Oh yeah.
And
doing all the time.
You could just have a big, massive book of stat blocks and say, okay, if they go in this area at this level, go to these 5 pages, and these are appropriate stat blocks. I don't know.
It'd be a massive challenge if you wanted to print it, that's for sure. But if you wanted to sell it as a PDF, it might not be so bad.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, man. I was thinking that we're middle of September here. Mm-hmm. We should be seeing... when does Starfinder Enhanced come out?
It's like October or November. I know that I've looked at the PDF, honestly, but I haven't seen any physical copies yet. Well, yes, because I get access to it early.
Well, I was, I was actually talking to somebody else at Paizo, and they said that on the Pathfinder side, they very often give authors advanced copies, especially if they're doing an author's blog or something. And
they might.
And they say, "Oh, that'd be really cool if you did on the Starfinder side." And so I asked about it. I don't know. I got a kind of weird response.
Oh, okay.
And so I responded back based on what they said, and then I still don't know. And
interesting.
Yeah, so maybe I'll ask. Everybody's busy with Starfinder, so it's kind of hard to.
It's it's very busy. A lot of stuff. That does remind me. I don't know. Hopefully I didn't miss the deadline for the Starfinder Enhanced authors blog submissions.
No, you didn't, and that's what brought it up. Actually, for me.
Fair enough. Yeah.
October 5th. October 5th.
Oh, okay. Plenty of time.
Yeah, and so it's like, I'll just say it. So I was saying, it sounds like from the thing they kind of want us to talk a little bit about what we did, and I said, well. I don't know if what I did got in because I don't get a copy of it. and I don't want to talk about and get really excited about anything. So should I just talk very general about things? And I haven't heard back. So I don't.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I got some time, and I figure I'll
Yeah,
ask
there's a
again.
little more time. Maybe yeah, at the end of the month there'll be a couple days where you can paw through the PDF.
Because I've done 3 of these things already, and so I don't want to say that. I always try to say something different on each of them. And so in this one, I would like to say more about what I did, because I did quite a bit, and but I don't know for sure. I would, just how it goes. You don't know what gets changed, what gets cut, what makes it, things like that. And I did a couple of things I thought were really, really cool, and I would like to not say anything specific about them other than say, oh, I did these things that are really, really cool. But I don't know. So anyway, so I told the person I talked to, here's all the sections I did. and they were going to check and see what got in. Get back to me, I guess. I don't really know. Who knows?
Okay. Well, if they have time.
We do. We got a couple weeks. I'll circle back on that. And
if they have time to, because of all the other stuff that.
But I am getting excited for it, because that was like a long time ago. It was like last summer.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I know I wrote a thing.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I'm excited about the thing. I know the thing you wrote. I'm excited about the thing. So
I hope it's okay.
Oh, I think it's going to be wonderful.
You never know. You never know with these sorts of things, to be perfectly honest, because it's yeah, I don't know.
Well, I worry about my things, because I don't think.
Sure.
I think I had a couple things that were pretty cool, and then a couple things that I don't know if they were cool enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're talking like really
so vague terms. We might as well just be
all right.
Not saying actual words.
Soon. But soon, sometime in October, maybe we'll see it. I'll see it. You'll see it. Are you excited from what you've seen then?
Oh yeah, okay. I flipped through it. Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff in there. There's a lot of really good looking art for sure.
Nice.
So, very excited. Very excited.
So that'll be it. And it'll help tide us over, until Mechageddon comes out. I think that's probably the next big thing.
The Skyward
Stars. Oh yeah, because I played through all that,
that's true.
I don't consider it as much. I mean, I like how it's all bound, so I think that'll be neat. And I might actually run that, because Ron and Steph and a bunch of them, they don't do organized play, and so they haven't played through any of that. And so I might actually do that for them, and if for you too.
Okay,
if you're interested. I don't know.
Sure.
Once
we finish the other one.
Well, I know if we ever get that done. No, but we're wrapping up a couple other things that we're doing on like Mondays and Wednesdays. Things are wrapping up, and then this thing we're doing on Tuesdays, eventually that'll wrap up. So maybe one of those days. But the Monday and Wednesdays we do in person though, so I don't know if you're keen on. I don't know how you're feeling.
I'm still not sure.
Yeah,
honestly, about all of that. Not that I don't. Obviously, I'd love to hang out.
Oh yeah, no, I'm
like in person, but
I was clear to go in person, so I'm still a little hesitant. And actually, one of my students contacted me today saying he was exposed. His mother tested for COVID, and he was exposed over the weekend.
Oof.
What should he do? And I said, well, we have a policy. The university has a policy. It says you're supposed to mask up. You don't have to isolate if you're just exposed, which was a change from before. But I've told my class that, if you were exposed, I would appreciate it if you also sat way far away from me.
Fair enough. How, do you have a big enough room when you're teaching in it? That's I'm picturing a big lecture hall, but I don't know.
No, it's about a 30-person room, 35, I think is what it sits in tables. Now, in this particular class, I have 8 students, and it's a seminar. And so I'll have him back behind where I kind of make a big U-shaped table, and we all sit around it. And so I'll just have him, he'll be like probably 10, 12 feet away. And if he's wearing a mask, read about it.
Drape some plastic.
No.
A plastic curtain between the two of you. That'll be good.
I don't want to do that. So all our rooms have been certified to have sufficient airflow such that all the room air gets changed out every like 10 minutes or whatever.
Right,
It's
right.
required to do that. And so I'm feeling pretty good. And you know what? I haven't had COVID. If I get COVID, I feel pretty confident. I won't keel over now at this point. I think my immune system is
Okay.
is
Well,
fairly
don't keel over.
strong and robust compared to where it was. But anyway, so I feel you because it's still here.
Yeah.
You know, where you're
Yeah.
encountering people and seeing things. And in fact, I'm going to see my transplant doctor in October, and I'm going to get confirmation I can get the new COVID booster.
Oh,
And
yeah. I mean, it's approved for everybody. Oh, but you should check
yeah, I have to
because you have
see if he
other
wants me to
complications.
get that and a bunch of other
Yeah.
things. Because he had told me to hold off until something new came out that was approved. And so now
Right.
that it is,
Yeah.
I'll just wait and that. Because I've had 6 COVID shots total. So
Oh, wow.
I was
Right.
getting them like
Okay, great.
every
Yeah.
frequently, as much as soon as
Yeah.
I was allowed to get them, basically I'd get it to boost it.
Right. Yeah. I have an appointment this
Oh,
week to get one,
good on you.
to get the new one. Hopefully they have it. I'm not 100% sure they will,
Yeah.
but they're doing appointments, so I got one. And yeah, I've been like going to a lot of like basically a lot of like vet appointments, and so just and people masking in there and whatnot. But
Right.
like, I just want to like have that be my main, my only exposures if possible, and then so I can go to these vet appointments if for
Yeah.
reasons. Um, uh, yeah. I don't know what were we talking about?
Oh,
Starfield,
yeah. Oh,
Starfinder.
about games playing Scoured Stars.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
have you done any of the society play with Scoured Stars at all?
None of the Scoured Star stuff. I've really only run the ones that I've written, and then I played one early one, like early on.
Yeah, it is. I will tell you that I was not liking how disjointed the seasons were because the Scour Stars is such a great storyline, and then they would kind of bump around a whole bunch of different things.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really cool now that have that all in one volume and
Yeah.
to build in transitions between things, to
Yeah, I
tighten it
don't
up.
fully know what Thirsty's done with
Yeah, I
it,
don't either.
but I know he was the lead on the project,
Right.
so obviously it's going to be, he all of his, he was the lead on the original storyline as well. So, he knows the Scout Stars stuff inside and out,
Mhm.
so he'll know how to do the transitions. However, but I don't fully exactly know how he's doing it. Although I could probably sneak a peek sneak a peek at the file at some point just to see. But yeah, no, I didn't end up playing any of that, so I'm curious.
Yeah, no, I
was curious.
No, I think it'll be fun, and I played most of that in person too. I mean, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and the big finale too was in a special at
Yeah.
So that
I'm wondering how that's gonna work. If it'll be just sort of ported over straight, or if she's gonna like put some twists in how it to make it feel like it's also you're like, because I know the thing about specials being sort of like you're kind of doing not the exact same thing as everybody
right.
else, but just kind of like building up a pool of stuff, and then something
Mhm.
happens. I've been well, no, I did play one. I did play in one. Did I play in one? I can't remember if it was a special or if I was just playing a scenario. But I've been in the room when
Yeah.
the specials have been happening a
Yeah.
couple times, so I get the way sort of like people flagging. It's pure controlled chaos, and I love it. And then something happens.
Well, the
where there's, like,
finale
a
for the
voiceover.
Scour Stars, the special of the Starfinder specials, that finale is the most cinematic, was the coolest
Ooh,
of them all.
nice, nice.
Yeah, it's I don't know basically you have to go in and defeat a god. So,
Oh yeah, I think I remember hearing about that,
so
or something about how the Scour Stars or something. Yeah.
anyway, so that's kind of really a really really cool thing. It actually brings to mind, they have had much more coherent stories since then.
Mm-hmm.
That I would imagine, I would think that they could do similar adventure paths out of them, though.
I mean,
The Scattered Stars was a little bit longer because the first season,
yeah, it was like 2 seasons, kind
yeah,
of,
it was
wasn't it?
39. I think it was 39 scenarios, huge amount for it.
Well, we were
Yeah,
at the beginning really pumping them out just
right.
because
Oh,
it
yeah,
was
2 a month,
to sort of
and
match.
yeah,
Yeah,
then
to
it
sort
went
of
over the year
the,
into a second year, basically.
yeah.
So, but a lot of them weren't Scoured Stars, though. That's the other thing. That was
Sure.
was the kind of the initial premise behind you getting recruited and things like that. But that storyline, Scoured Stars didn't. Anyway, it would be really cool to kind of see that, even on the Pathfinder side, quite frankly, where they take a whole season and bind it up into an AP. Especially have newer people that showed up, and maybe they didn't know what happened in the previous seasons, and rather than go back and playing them because you got new stuff coming out, they play an AP that kind of catches you up. Yeah, and the lore and everything.
Interesting.
Oh, maybe they'll just do that for Starfinder too.
Who knows? I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah. Oh,
but for this season of Pathfinder and Starfinder side, I'm just going to plug it right now too. The Foundry VTT modules are out now. I think you can even buy the package to. Then it gets updated as they get released, but they're they're the usual fantastic stuff the Foundry does. They sort of remaster the maps a little bit.
Yeah.
They do some of them, at least the Pathfinder one has some sound added to it,
Right.
some cool sound effects, and if you get the deluxe edition, you get the whole adventure. But if you already own the PDFs, you can just buy like just the maps, basically.
Right.
Separate.
Right.
Yeah.
And is there a subscription for this?
What you do is it's not exactly a subscription. I think you just buy the package and it updates as they get released.
Wow.
So I think it's a one-time payment. And then they just get like released.
Okay.
Here's the next one. I'm
gonna have to look into this. It could be a subscription because this would be.
But
I like Foundry a lot, but I find it's a little clunkier. Actually, maps for me are the hardest part in Foundry. Putting the maps in Foundry to get them lined up and scale properly. I know how to do that in Roll20 really well. But if there's a one-time fee I can pay for Foundry, and then it just updates, I'm gonna have to look into that.
Look into it, check into it. But I think that
sounds too good to be true.
You get a thing.
So,
what do you mean too good to be true? All that stuff is great.
No. Do we want to look it up now?
I'm sort of looking it up
right
now. Let's see if it's on here.
Foundry VTT.
One of two. So there's a $50 thing you can buy. Oh, not that one.
Looking.
Deluxe edition full season for $150. One-time payment. It is all of the maps and all of the adventures. Right, you don't have to buy the adventures again through PDF format. You get everything. At least for the Pathfinder one, that's what.
All right, I'll have to think about that. That seems a little bit because I'm a super subscriber, so I get all the adventures for free.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the everything, and that's 20. It's going to be 20 scenarios, so obviously that's a good $750.
Yeah. So for $150 for the whole season, you said that's 20.
That's 20 scenarios. That's going to be the 20 scenarios of the season. I don't know if that necessarily does include the special, but I assume that's part of
usually not. Usually you have
usually
to.
Not. Okay.
Yeah, the special.
So.
I don't. It's not part of like I'm a super subscriber. I only get the special when I run it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay. So probably not then. And then there is $150, 20 seasons, about $7.50 each. But you can do they're not bad. But if you say you're getting all the PDFs, you can just buy what's called the asset pack for $80. and that is all the fancy maps and fancy tokens for the creatures and what all the NPCs and all the art. I imagine.
And that's already all loaded in up, or do
It'll
you have
load
to?
it up in, but I mean, you have to press the buttons to say import this adventure, and it'll load it all up.
Do that. Oh, okay. That's
yeah.
not.
You don't have to
That's
do
pretty
much
good
of
then.
anything. Yeah, it's
Okay.
pretty good.
Yeah.
And
So
that's
if you
like
have the
$4 a piece.
PDFs, it's like half as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it saves. I mean, just the time savings. So basically, if it's costing you $4 per, that's worth the time.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You that's the plan if you think you're going to run all 20 of them, right?
Right. No, even if I'm going to run 5 of them, it's
it might be worth it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. There's for at least for the Pathfinder ones, because Pathfinder 1 has that challenge point scaling.
Right.
Right.
Oh,
there's a macro. It scales it for you. There's a macro for it. You just press the button and then you put in the points. I had to figure that out. I was doing. I didn't quite because I'd never run some of the Pathfinder Society stuff, and so I did it. And I was like, boop, and it was like, okay, blah blah blah, blah, puts all the right, grabs the right stat blocks and the right tokens, and tells you, puts them on the map for you.
Oh, that is worth the price of admission right there.
And it's got all the lights, then the sound, any sort of sounds, walls are built into the maps, so when you get the vision to whatever.
Right. And it sets the vision on the tokens hopefully already automatic. Yeah.
Yes, unless you're doing Starfinder. So Foundry Starfinder doesn't have that turned on. Tokens having vision altogether was something we took us like 45 minutes to realize was wrong. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to look into that. I'm probably gonna start running a little bit more Pathfinder. Is kind of one of my goals for coming up, and I like Foundry. I like Pathfinder second edition on Foundry a lot.
Yeah, it's real good.
It's real nice.
It does a lot of stuff.
Well, great.
When you're when you're getting in there, just to sort of, I know, a little tip heads up, there's some things you want to turn on automatically, like automatically apply resistances is one thing that isn't always turned on automatically.
Oh, okay.
But everything else is kind of like built in distance penalties and flanking. You're off, people being flat-footed. It's all in there. You never have to really do much. And it's great. And all
even need a GM anymore.
Well, you still need a GM to move everything around, and sometimes you have to apply some things manually. But turn on the sounds, but or press the button that does the macro that changes the map. There's some real fun stuff in like the Abomination Vaults pre-deluxe editions and stuff like that, where you just click a token and the map layers go like the bridge collapses, boop, and the bridge actually collapses, and there's a sound, and it's. Sorry, I'm gushing about Foundry, but that's why they asked me to run the scenarios, because I really like Foundry, and I'm very excited to work with them.
Well, and I think thinking ahead even to Starfinder second edition, I'm sure they're going to have Foundry support right out the gate.
If it integrates as super easy, I'm sure Foundry is going to be more excited just as excited as everyone else for Starfinder to kind of run on the same chassis. They can just go boop boop and then like change a couple things in terms of like add some traits or whatever. They already know how to do that. And every time something new comes out, it's like on Foundry almost right away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here.
Sure. A light year's worth of information.
Yeah. Well, it's been great. It's good catching up again. And
same with you.
Looking forward to next time.
We'll talk next time.
Well, I'm John.
And I'm Jason. And this has been Digital Divination.